Hi, my name's Tom Bergin, and I'm going to talk to you about my journey with concussion. So, my first concussion happened in April 2019 when I was away at the Under-18 National Championships playing in a make-up team in Tasmania. So, basically, my first concussion happened when I was going for a ball at the same time someone else was, and the side of my head hit this guy's shoulder. I was out cold on the floor, and basically, when I went for concussion testing, I said that Hobart was the state I was in. The next couple of days, I wasn't really given much advice. I was basically just told to stay off screens, and that was about it, and to be monitored whilst I was sleeping. Following that, I was rather sleepy for about the next 3 weeks or so. I wasn't very interested in much of the holiday that our family had stayed on to have. I don't have much of a recollection of that trip itself. Then I basically just came back to WA after our holiday and resumed normal life. I had no knowledge that I'd actually been concussed because I had no baseline assessment done. So they couldn't determine whether I was actually concussed or not. So I just returned to normal life, and I went on and played hockey that season, and I struggled a fair bit with my headaches, a bit of dizziness, all that sort of usual concussion type symptoms. I was still quite tired and drowsy. My year 12 grades suffered greatly. My ATAR dropped from 90 to about 63, I think it was in the end. My second concussion happened just before my birthday in September, or maybe it was late August 2019, where I was doing a tackling drill at training and I copped a stick to the back of the head, cut my head open. That one, I had to go to the hospital, get my head glued back together. After that, that's when I was actually told that I was properly concussed, and I went and saw a physio. They did some more assessments, gave me a return to school plan. That wasn't really working for me, so I was lucky enough that one of my coaches put me in contact with some other specialist physios specialising in vestibular balance and all of that sort of stuff. So I went and sought out their help, did lots more testing, and we had a proper return to max heart rate plan set out for me, as well as a return to cognitive function plan. I followed these plans for, I think it was about 3 months after that. But during this time, I was very dizzy. I had headaches all the time. I wasn't very aware of my surroundings. I'd be having a conversation with someone and not actually really, you could tell that I wasn't actually really engaged in it. I'd forget what the other person said or something like that. I'd just be a little bit dazed and confused. Moving forward, I was feeling pretty good. I'd returned to pretty much max heart rate, returned to pretty much full training. I was doing a fair bit of running, getting myself fit for the next hockey season. So, start of 2020, I think it was either late February or early March. I was doing a practice match at club, and it was a nothing contest, and I basically just hip and shouldered one of our other team attackers in an intra-squad match and went to ground, had a thumping headache and didn't really think anything of it. It wasn't like any of my other concussions that I had. I was just really out of it. I had a huge headache. Apparently I went off at my coach during the training, but I have no recollection of it. Stupidly, I drove home, and that was also a very scary experience. So I've definitely learned a couple of things that, if I ever get hit in the head, I'm never to drive. If I get hit in the head or if I start getting angry on the field, my teammates now know that I've obviously been hit and that I should come off, because otherwise things will just escalate really badly for me. So this period of time was quite frustrating because I just finally thought that I was back on track to complete this 2020 season. Struggled my way back recovering after that concussion. I went and saw some more specialists, both vestibular and sports doctors, to see if there's anything I can do to control my heart rate, because during my second and my third concussion, I really struggled to walk. Walking for a period of time, any greater than 10 minutes, was really hard for me. I started to get really dizzy and started to get like really sleepy, and I'd just go to sleep really easily. So my second and third concussions, both of them, I'd just be out cold. So 1 minute I'd be talking to you, next minute I'll just say I'm going to go have a nap. I'd wake up 5-6 hours later, and my life pretty much consisted of sleeping and getting up, doing something small, and sleeping again. I just couldn't manage the workload. So missing the 2020 season, I took on the opportunity to do lots of coaching. I coached two school teams, and I coached 2 club teams as well. So I was actually involved in more hockey than I was if I'd actually been playing. It's probably beneficial for my game, actually learning what players do from a sideline perspective. And from there, I found a passion for running. So weirdly enough, running didn't trigger my symptoms. So I'd do a hell of a lot of running, and now I'm finding that running is a new passion. So after hockey, I think I'll progress into either running, cycling, or triathlons, because they're really interesting to me. They've made me pretty much symptom-free, surprisingly. And yeah, I just find it's enough time for me to get away, and it's some me time whilst I'm engaging in physical activity. So I've been told that if I get hit in the head again, that it's probably not wise to play hockey again, like if I get another major concussion, but it all depends on how I actually go rehab-wise. So if I show positive signs in my rehab and recover really easily, then I've got a higher chance of playing hockey again. But if I struggle to recover, then the likelihood of me playing hockey again will be very small, because I'll just end up doing more damage to myself than good. Before I got concussed, or before I got hit in Tasmania, I had little to no knowledge about concussions. Like, I thought, oh, you just had a headache and weren't feeling too good for a little bit, but I hadn't actually thought about the actual consequences of what it was like to be concussed. I didn't understand what it would be like to be concussed. I soon learned. I did a lot of research around what an actual concussion was and how it affected you and what I could do to recover. But it wasn't until only a couple of weeks ago, or about a month or 2 ago, I met with another guy that's been through a similar story to me, concussed multiple times, and changing his diet. His gut health and the brain is very well linked, and for me, I chose to go for a gluten-free diet, and it's reduced all inflammation, and I've been more energetic, more lively, and I felt like myself. The most I've felt like myself within probably the past 2 years, given my last concussion. And yeah, it's just been a great experience, feeling pretty much recovered. But yeah, overall, I'd feel that since my last couple of concussions, especially the last 2 happening at the club, they're definitely more aware of head incidences and concussions surrounding hockey. I feel like they go a little bit unnoticed, given that hockey is supposedly a non-contact sport. No one really thinks of concussions coming out of hockey. So in terms of career path right now, I'm currently studying exercise science and psychology at Murdoch, and I really am interested in helping the diagnosis and rehabilitation of concussion patients. So I'm wanting to maybe enter it from a psychological perspective, given that during my concussions I wasn't given much psychological support. It was more just rehab, this is what you should be doing, and there was no how are you okay sort of stuff. It was more, this is what's happened, this is what you need to do, and it didn't necessarily work for me. So I think attacking it from a psychological perspective would be very interesting. So yeah, eventually working concussion diagnosis, treatment, rehabilitation sort of stuff down the track. At the moment with my uni life, I'm really enjoying it.